morning. I'm Gayle DeBruyn. I'm Assistant Professor in Design Studies and Collaborative Design, and we are proud to bring back, by popular demand, Chicago. Bigger and better than it's ever been before. It will be 10 days in our own backyard, Chicago, the great city. It will be about design and cultural arts. And working with me will be Lee Davis and Karen Carter. And I'm supposed to be advancing a slide, so hold on a minute while I figure out how to do that. That would be, yes. We are going to spend some time understanding architecture. So we started with a slide about Daniel Burnham, which you've all studied, I'm sure, in your design history classes. This will be 2 courses. One, a studio elective for 3 credits, and the other, a humanities in 3 credits. This will allow you 6 credits for summer session 1, and that will put you in a place to be looking at your financial aid for that half summer program. You'll also know that it's a 7-week accelerated course with a field trip to Chicago. So to throw in other classes on top of this will be a little bit of a challenge for you. In fact, we recommend you not, because you're going to have a hard time meeting all the commitments of your other courses while you're doing your work in Chicago. So with that, I'm going to introduce to you, you guys know the Blues Brothers, right? Saturday Night Live, please say yes. If you don't, you want to find it out. Introduce to you Lee Davis.
So we wanted to put the Blues Brothers in there because they are designers of epic adventures, which is what you'll be doing, right? So the studio elective credits, which you will be working with designers here locally, we will have classes before we actually go to Chicago. We're going to look at your critical observation skills, putting things together, working collaboratively across the majors, so everybody is welcome. Fine arts, design studies, art history, art ed. Everybody is welcome because these are skills that are applicable to everything that we do in an art and design school. Multidisciplinary team building and problem solving. We want to get to rapid prototyping so that you understand the iteration process that goes into development of product and communications. And how all of that works into a business model, because what that does is makes you smarter when you get out and able to work with employers. So we'll have guest speakers. We'll focus on product research, information delivery, public space design, trend spotting, and that's all part of the Big D approach that Kendall is really embracing full force as we get going towards this 2014. We will do design studio projects as we have the classes, and we'll again have multidisciplinary teams, and we're going to work on information and communications, objects, the environment, and user experiences. We're going to try to cover all of that stuff in 6 or 7 weeks. We will be taking advantage of NeoCon when we're there. And NeoCon is home of world-class speakers, so we will have the opportunity to hear designers from outside of Michigan who have put their insights and thought processes behind some of their most iconic work. They discuss the inspiration that led them to where they are. It gets you in touch with what's going on in the art and design world.
Hi, I'm Karen Carter. I'm Assistant Professor of Art History, and I'm going to be the person who is going to teach this proposed general education class. I called the class Sweet Home Chicago, Urban History of the Windy City. Chicago is one of these world-class cities for the arts, for design, for architecture, for music, but that city has not evolved just simply randomly, but really by the attempts of specific people in order to attract commerce there and also the arts. So these are some of the things that we're going to be talking about in this class, is looking at Chicago as a case study for urban development. So I've got a couple of quotes here that give you some of these conceptions from the past of Chicago. And one of them is Carl Sandburg's wonderful poem, Chicago, where he describes Chicago as hog butcher of the world, as a city of big shoulders. These are these conceptions that tend to be repeated in the 19th and 20th century, but I would say today this has remarkably changed. Some of the course topics we're going to be looking at is the Chicago fire and the rebuilding of Chicago as a quote-unquote second city. A lot of people think this term second city means that Chicago is supposed to be the second city behind New York, and this is not the way that it's interpreted by Chicagoans. Instead, it's about the rebuilding and the revitalization of that city. And Chicago is where the skyscraper was born, in part because most of the buildings that had been there before 1871 of the Chicago fire, it raised all of that property in order for the city to be reborn anew. Another topic is the Columbia Exposition of 1893, in which there was part of Southside Chicago that was dedicated to this major World's Fair. And again, this was another moment in the history of Chicago that made it a world-class city. And again, they were trying to make the city not be associated so much with those stockyards and with commerce and railroads, but instead a center of arts and culture. Another thing we'll be discussing is how immigration has brought life and new culture into the city, and also the migration of African Americans from the South to Chicago during this period of rapid industrialization. So we'll also be talking about the ethnic flavor of some of the different neighborhoods throughout Chicago. We're also going to be looking at another key moment in the history of Chicago, and that's the 1960s, where there was a lot of progressive politics that were bubbling up and also a tremendous conflict. But again, this is one of these key moments in the history of Chicago that turned it into the focus of world politics. And last, we're going to be looking at the revitalization of Chicago in the 1990s and the early part of the 21st century. And I have a couple of photographs here of people who have been instrumental. One of them is Rob Emanuel. If you're not familiar with him, he is the current mayor. And of course, he was working with Barack Obama, who is another person who has brought attention to Chicago as a global.
I get to talk about the money. So we can handle all of this in Chicago very efficiently. You will do this for not as much money as you might think. We can get down and back on the megabus for less than 20 bucks. If we can get 4 people in a hotel room, it can be as little as 65 bucks a night, so that's 10 nights for $650. Food, if you're careful, 40 bucks a day will cover 3 meals, so you can get through that. We're going to go to museums. We anticipate about $50 in admission fees, and it may even be less because of student discounts, but this is kind of an off-the-top ballpark price to work with. And then additional expenses, so there's tours of Oak Park with Frank Lloyd Wright's home and studio. There are architectural riverboat tours, and then transportation. So all in all, you can go down there, stay for 10 nights, have a little bit of spending money, and spend less than $2,000. So it's a really affordable week, and a lot of learning can happen.
Heaven forbid it be all work and no play. So while we're down there, the birth of the Blues Festival will be going on. We'll be able to go to Grant Park. We'll do some of our own walking tours and explore the city, sometimes at night because it's really remarkable then. And we'll eat pizza. I'm very sure about that. There's a gorilla truck show that Neocon doesn't know about. Well, they kind of know about, but happens in the Fringe. So we'll go out and explore some of the crazy things that go on in the city as well. This is the part I get to do, so I'm excited about that. Oak Park, Louis Sullivan, the Willis Tower, used to be Sears, the Bean, we can have a blast just hanging out in the city. So come along with us, vote early, vote often.